Welcome to the Mental Game live from riotradio.ca here on the Media Hub. I'm Heather.
And I'm Bree.
And Vince Lombardi once said, it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. So Vince Lombardi is considered amongst one of the best coaches in all of American sport. Best known as head coach of the Green Bay Packers during the 60s, where he led the team to 3 straight and 5 total NFL championships in 7 years, winning 2 Super Bowls, 66 and 67.
That's unreal.
So today we're exploring the topic of grit, or finding the way mentality, or as our episode title today states, the show-up skill. Grit is often described as the mental and physical hustle that allows an athlete or student to overcome and show up and find a way even when things are tough. Coaches and athletes often define grit as not blindly pushing through pain, but as the ability to think critically, self-assess, and adjust. In our first episode, Press Start, we kind of introduced the topic of mental performance and this related concept of a growth mindset. A reminder, growth mindset is not having an open mind or consistent blind positivity. Having a growth mindset involves understanding that taking appropriate risks sometimes leads to failures and fumbles. It's how a person defines and rebounds from that failure. Research by Dewick has found growth mindset is our ability to embrace challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, see effort as a path to mastery. That's a hard word for my tongue to say. Learn from criticism and find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. Grit is the long-term byproduct of actively growing your growth mindset. Growth mindset is the belief system that our abilities are malleable, and grit is a behavioral trait of your sustained effort. This is a term that was recently coined by researcher Angela Lee Duckworth, and we actually have a cover shot of her fantastic 2016 book, Grit. So grit is the tendency to sustain interest in effort toward a very long-term goal. It is a trait that develops through experience. It is a sustained, consistent effort towards a goal, even when we struggle. Falter or temporarily fail. Grit, in a word, could be described as stamina. So grit is the power, as that book title said, of passion and perseverance, consisting of courage and conscientiousness. For long-term goals, it builds resilience and excellence. It is a trait, though, that can be developed. So how do we develop grit? So we can look at resources like positivepsychology.com or the American Psychological Association, and we start seeing some common themes here on how we build grit. So becoming more social, purposely connecting with others, and Bree is going to chat a little bit more about this a bit later. Building emotional regulation. We talked about this in our first 2 episodes, right? Getting control over how we respond to these adverse setbacks. Understanding locus of control can help us get really gritty. So the only constant in life is change is a great quote to remember, or the inability to accept things that we cannot change is a futile pursuit. The other aspect here is commit to making decisions. We sometimes get really stuck in what's the best decision forward, what's the best route forward, and we can get really stuck in this indecisiveness. So commit to a choice, regardless if it's the best choice. The other thing that we see pop up often to develop our grit is around being mindful of our self-talk. Using mindfulness tools and really looking at how we're talking to ourselves internally. We can practice optimism, acknowledging the good and the possible, right? Really celebrating the successes, those benchmarks that we are hitting. We can also think about applying the Kaizen principle to our goals, which is this concept that we can change for the better. This is a Japanese philosophy focusing on small, consistent changes that lead to big improvements. We have a great screenshot here that I encourage you to take a picture of and save for yourself. And this is from Eric Partaker. And on the screen here, we see his 10 principles of Kaizen. So we see things like letting go of assumptions, being proactive, looking beyond the obvious, focusing on solutions. My favorite, number 9, no blame zone. So it's really about this pattern that you'll see in the top right of the image here, where we learn to observe. What are some of those setbacks? Why did that fumble happen? We then try to identify what's one small thing we can maybe experiment with and try to fix. We analyze, we can kind of ask, well, why did this happen? What's the root? We test and measure and standardize and continue that loop. So for your team, if you're an athlete here on campus, it's all about the rituals. Things like celebrating the small win, or how do you actually bring together the different suggestions on how you can move forward and improve your game. As an individual student, or for yourself, maybe working on some personal goals, it's all about the habits that we create. And I know Bree is going to talk more about several of these, including one of my favorites, the 2-minute rule. Muhammad Ali once said, champions aren't made in the gyms, champions are made from something they have deep inside of them. So what's deep inside of us? Perhaps it's something associated with grit called the consistency of interest. Research shows that grittier athletes and students are consistent and demonstrate the ability to stay focused on that goal over a long period of time. So grit can be developed through several avenues, but a main feature that you're going to see pop up time and time again is consistent participation, repetition with focus. So reps, reps, reps with our goals, goals, goals. Want to get gritty? There's another really great resource we have a screenshot of here, a book called Beyond Grit. It has 10 powerful practices to gain the high performance edge. And with any resource, books are fantastic examples of don't just read it, but sit with it and start thinking about how you can apply it to your own life. Bree's going to be mentioning a book a little bit later that she found maybe a little bit boring. And so a lot of times when we start losing interest in resources, make sure we're putting our hands on it. How does this apply in your own world? We can also significantly influence the develop of our grit by creating an environment that values effort, encourages long-term goals, and frames failures as learning opportunities. As a student, as an athlete, sometimes we don't feel like we have a lot of control over that environment, but be that teammate that really makes sure that it's the value that we're putting on effort over that end product, over the goals that we're actually scoring. And this reminds me, I don't know, Bree, if you've heard of Sarah Blakely. She was an entrepreneur and the inventor of Spanx, which came out many moons ago. So I'm dating myself a little bit with this reference. But when she was really entering the entrepreneur world, she was talking about this aspect of grit. And one of the things that she really equates her success and her entrepreneurship skills to is she was taught by her family to embrace and celebrate mistakes and failures as necessary parts of growth. So she spoke a lot in all of her interviews at the time she was hitting the scene that her dinner table had a weekly ritual of her father asking, "What did you fail at this week?" And that's how she got her high fives from her dad. Yeah. They also really praised the attempt rather than the result. So it really encouraged her to look at the hidden gifts or lessons in some of her setbacks and failures. After this break, we'll hear from someone who's got some grit back here on riotradio.ca. Welcome back to The Mental Game here on riotradio.ca. Bree, you spoke to somebody who embodies grit.
I did. And when you think of someone who embodies grit, there's usually a couple people who stand out for you, right? Whether it's their passion, their perseverance over time. It's really important to make sure that we have those people in our lives that support us and who we almost want to look up to, right? So, Heather, when we talk about people in our lives that encourage us to be gritty and stay motivated, is there anyone that comes to mind for you?
Oh, so many people. And some are people that I haven't even met, right? Like celebrities or several authors that, you know, really started from nothing and worked their way up to being smart and running marathons and doing some great things. Jesse Itzler, for instance, he was a rapper in the 90s. He's a large entrepreneur now. Yeah, and as you were mentioning, right, it's these people that continue to push that line and really motivate you to like keep hitting up to that next level.
Yep. And just continuing to push yourself, right? It doesn't always have to be, okay, I'm going to go to the gym today. It's just pushing for that one extra rep, whether that's, I have an assignment due tonight. Maybe, you know, I'm going to prioritize the assignment over the gym because one, it's more important to me, and I'm still pushing myself to do something that I don't want to do. Yeah. So in this video that we're going to show here very shortly, we meet with Nora, who is one of our group fitness instructors here at the Flex Fitness Center. Nora is also a manager in finance at Durham College, and she is someone who I picture as being gritty. She, in my opinion, is a tank. Don't know how she does everything that she does, but in these videos here, she teaches us how she manages it all and those people who are able to support her along the way. Let's roll with clip number 1.
I just tell people I block out an hour and a half in my calendar. So I make sure that meeting isn't going to happen and it's a hard stop. And yeah, I might not want to go, but once I get here, it's okay, right? It's just getting here. And I see people who don't want to go, like some of my colleagues, if they're wanted to come to my class, but they don't, I'll walk down and say, we're going, let's go, right? And just push them, like, let's go, right? You can do your own thing. It's your workout. You don't have to be so hardcore, right? But I always tell people, listen to your body, be nice to your body. But if you get that little extra, you know, like you said, rep, then just do it, right? So, and there are times that I teach multiple classes. I started teaching virtual classes during COVID to keep people mentally healthy because it was really, people struggled a lot. So I thought this was a way to keep people motivated. And I've kept that group since then. And so sometimes I do have to cancel this because I've already done a class and maybe there's much going on, and that's where I take my time. Like I have to sometimes just say, no, I need this time for myself. I can't do this. And they're very, very accommodating to that and accept that, right? Because they can see. But I also like the flip side of that is where they're waiting for me. They're relying on me. And so that gives me that extra push to say, these are my people, right? They've been with me for years and they're waiting on me and they rely on me to get them through their workout because it's so hard to be motivated to go by yourself. Again, my class is progressive, so we start light and then we add weights and then we add more, and again, still listen to your body, but if I can get them to do that one extra push, and today I made them hold it and pulse it, right? A little bit of groans, but you know, again, they all walked out with smiles, right?
Good.
I think there's many ways that we can just try and just get out there and do it. You get those endorphins going, you'll feel much better. And then people admit, they come back and go, wow, I'm glad I did that, right? I'm glad I went. So yeah, I like to encourage people to work out, and you know, whether it's my team or people in my room here or in a spin class, right? They're just all there to do their personal best, whatever that is for them. It's important. In hockey, when my kids were growing up, so my husband was a coach, I was a manager, convener, and so we were always getting them working out and stuff. They didn't like it. But now they're like at the gym all the time, working out. My older son is like, wow, he's the powerhouse. And he'd be like, oh, I do this and this. I'm like, yeah, okay, right? Because I used to tell them that when they were growing up, but mom's right. They know better. But
So it's funny to hear there, as Nora was saying in that final clip, that she pictures her son as a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So someone to maybe give her motivation, right?
Absolutely.
Which is so important, right? Having that extra motivation, whether you just need a push or you're that person who's giving the motivation, always so helpful. And as Nora did touch on there, remember when we're getting stressed, stepping away from your desk, whether you're doing an assignment or maybe you're at work and you just need a moment, taking a breath, making sure that we're getting a good amount of rest, movement, right? Super, super important to make sure that we're prioritizing things in our life so that way we have the best success moving forward. We also, as Nora, she did mention there, but I clipped it. Because I want to tell you about it.
Yes.
We have pickleball happening on campus.
Ooh.
So I know that Nora's colleagues, on days when they don't want to go do Pilates with Nora, Nora's still swinging by and saying, okay, you don't want to go to Pilates today? Go to pickleball. So there is pickleball. There's lots of drop-in classes happening at the CRWC gym. So just that movement that you're looking for, whether it's going up and walking on the track, maybe going and playing basketball for a little bit, or joining pickleball, make sure that we're moving our body, we're motivating those people around us.
Yeah, things aren't chiseled in stone. And I think that's the important aspect of grit, is that it's not saying, you know, this is the route, you have to follow these steps every single day. I loved how Nora kind of highlighted there, like listening to what your needs are in that moment, but using your community, using your resources to make that momentum continue, right?
Yes.
Keep that momentum going. So sometimes I hear from students, oh, I was planning to go to the gym, but I didn't pack my gym bag. It's still at home. It's like, well, you can still walk around campus.
Yep, there's
right?
still something.
There's still ways that if you're the integrity of the goal, the core of the goal that you are building that grit towards is moving your body more every single day, or reading a chunk of your textbook every single day. I think we need to lose this kind of perfection that we hold our goals around in gold. It's, you know, do what you can, show up as you are. And so I loved how Nora kind of spoke to that kind of flexibility, and but also that like building of momentum. Like her sons, joking there, their sons were like, I don't want to go to the gym when they were younger. But now it just becomes habit. It's just what we do.
Exactly. And this is a great segue into our next video for Nora, where we talk about setting the bar high, but not taking things too seriously.
Having grown up, I just always set the bar high. I wanted to be better, and so I've always had that mindset. And I don't get stressed very easily, be it at home or at work. I just there's too much in life to get stressed about. There's always someone got it worse than you. There's always something bigger out there that's problematic, as opposed to, you always have to, the saying, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yes.
So define small. Well, define big. Like, what is big? My husband and I are both the same way, and we're just really laid back in the sense, like, let's think about how big this problem is. And so when my staff come to me with a problem, they'll just be like, oh, wow, like, you're right. And right, like, I've had stressful jobs. When I worked in Toronto, I worked 70 hours a week. It was stressful, but I always worked out to get that break. I made sure I took time to figure out, like, the work itself is hard, so I gave myself enough time to get to work, so I'm not stressed to get to work. I stayed behind late, maybe so I wasn't stressed in the traffic. Like, there's things we can do to mitigate the stress levels in our life. Working out, healthy eating, proper sleep, all those play critical factors, and anybody can ask about that to any doctor, and they'll tell you sleep, hydration, proper food, exercise is key, right? It just gives you that rounded, healthy lifestyle that everybody needs in order to be strong.
Yeah. What a great reminder from Nora there.
Yeah.
Right? Don't sweat the small stuff. Someone's probably got it worse than you. You know, what is actually a big problem?
I love the theme word that's coming to mind. I'm picturing SpongeBob going, perspective.
Yes.
Right? This power of perspective, and how that can really help you keep that momentum going and keeping you show up. I also love she spoke about like the foundation though as well, that can kind of keep us motivated, keep us going, keep us gritty. They're foundational for a reason.
Totally. And in this situation here, Nora touched on how her husband is the person who helps to keep her motivated, right? He helps her stay gritty. Maybe there's days when she needs to prioritize herself more, and great for her for knowing that, right? There are times when we know we need to prioritize ourselves and we're pushing it off because something else we think is taking higher priority on the list. We need to listen to our body. If you're feeling burnout, how are you going to get that project done effectively and to the standard that you want, right? Make sure, again, we're hydrating ourselves, we're fueling our body. We have to fuel our body to get the work out of it that we want to see.
Yeah.
So in our next video here with Nora, she gives us a little trick on how you can prioritize yourself, let go of stress.
Happened, I was working in a manufacturing company, and it was really, I've had lots of really great mentors, and I always took the stance of just be a duck, let the water run down your back. Don't just shake it off. Don't take it all in, take it personal, and hold that grudge. Just let it go. And it was one really rough week where I was working, and my husband sent me flowers and with a card that said, just be a duck. And I've always held that to personal to myself, and share that with my team. Just be a duck, right? He's absolutely right. Just let the water run down your back. Don't take it personal, shrug it off, and let's move on. So I think I gave all my staff a duck. They've all got little rubber duckies on their desk, just to be a duck. Yeah.
I love this so much. Quack, quack, quack. Quack. A reminder I didn't even know I needed today.
Yeah.
Be a duck.
Be a duck. Just let it run off your back.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. One thing about ducks, when I think about being a duck too, is that not only do they let the water run off their backs, but their feet are working so hard under the surface, and they are cool as a cucumber on the surface, right? So when we have those days where, I know I have them, and my staff are like, wow, Brianna's running around all over the place today, right? Mm-hmm. Take a moment. Take a breath. Do I need to be moving at this speed? Do I need to be running through the hallways and, checking off a bunch of things? Or can I take some time, prioritize what I have to do, and go through it slowly, right? Go through it with intention. So that way my body isn't like, you have to get this done right now.
Yeah.
Right? Giving ourselves a moment. So in terms of working towards what helps us continue with these goals and these things we want to work on, it's important to know what helps motivate you. What are your standards, right? Nora touches on this in our next video here. And again, building off of her support systems at home, but a little more what is down to the basics levels of what motivates you.
Last night, my husband came out of his office and I'm spent, and I'm like, good, me too, and we just called it, right? We just made quick dinner and just relaxed, and you just have to do that, right? And not feel guilty about it, because you know that you've already worked really hard throughout the week. And as long as you're consistent, you're allowed to have those days. There's many weekends I don't work out. There's weekends I go to the gym and swim, but there's other weekends where my body, I just need to give a break, because I'm working out maybe 5, 6, 7 times a week, right? So I think people should just stay strong. Just go to the gym, do as much as you can whenever you can, stay healthy. That's really important. And don't compare what other people are doing. I watch people in my class looking at other people. It doesn't matter. I always say, this is your workout. This is your workout. And you're doing what you can, and you're going to build on that, and never try and compete with others. I see some people try to compete with me. I'm not competing. But it's important that you'll get there. Right, and I see it. I see people progressing. I see people losing weight. I see people feeling stronger, holding the plank longer, increasing their weights. It's always good to see, and I think that's what's great about having a progressive class, is that you're forcing them to get a little bit stronger and get a little bit stronger. So I'm really quite happy to see the level of people coming into my class and the amount of people. I think this winter there's so many people working out. It's great. It's just great to see the gym full. All the classes are being filled. It's wonderful.
Ooh, Nora the Stoic, right? Don't compare yourself to others. Do what you can. Love it.
Yep. And you know yourself best, right? And the people in your close circle that you might rely on to help motivate you, they probably know you just as well as you know yourself, or maybe a little bit better, right? I know there's times when maybe I don't want to move my body, that my partner is saying to me, he's like, why don't you go for a run? You're going to feel so much better after the run, clean headspace, do something for your body.
Absolutely.
Right? So.
And Nora spoke to that in several of her videos, right? Of often it's that struggle to get started, but once we're in it, very rarely do we ever come back and go, I wish I didn't do that workout. I wish I didn't put in that extra time studying, right? We often afterwards, after that hurdle, go, whew, I'm so glad I did that. And I demonstrated that commitment and that discipline to get there.
Exactly. Something to note too is another reoccurring trend throughout these videos with Nora that is that just knowing when you have to take a break and prioritize yourself, right? Knowing when to be gritty and when you have that one more push, and then knowing when, okay, I'm spent. This is all I can give right now, and listening to your body and relaxing.
Yeah.
Grit isn't self-neglect. It's not, when we're exhausted, you don't need to wear your exhaustion as a badge of honor. Sometimes pushing through is strength, but sometimes resting is strength. So knowing in that moment what your body needs is super important. Maybe ask yourself, am I tired because I'm growing, or am I tired because I'm depleted, right? It's a powerful distinction between the two. So remember to listen to yourself, protect your energy, and get rest.
Yeah. Life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
After this break, we are going to be talking a little bit about some of the drivers of grit, discipline, and motivation back here on riotradio.ca. Welcome back to The Mental Game here from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. William James, a very old American philosopher and psychologist, once said, "Most people never run far enough on their first wind to find out they've got a second." We hear a lot about motivation. It is a building block of grit and helping find our second wind, but perhaps we're giving it credit when really something else is doing all the heavy lifting. Ali Abdaal, a doctor turned entrepreneur and the world's most followed productive expert, has a great book called Feel Good Productivity. And he also has some great videos on his YouTube channel. How to actually achieve your goals in 2026. We have a screenshot of some of his sources there. Is a really great video to start with. He talks about some of the 5 evidence-based things you can do today to actually start building that grit and reaching your goals. For instance, writing down your goals, Brie, shows a 42% increase in them becoming more likely to achieve.
Wow.
42% just by writing them down. But what I want to highlight today is a book review that Ali did on one of my favorite books called The Motivation Myth by Jeff Hayden. So this is a fantastic book, and Ali actually has a YouTube video called Why Motivation is a Myth, where you can really break down and summarize this book. Jeff Hayden says that motivation is not the spark. Motivation is the fire that starts burning after you manually, painfully coax it into existence. So motivation follows action, and the root is through discipline. So it's built by consistency, deliberate effort over time. It starts by small wins, so easy, achievable tasks to build your momentum and your sense of accomplishment. And one of my favorite parts of this book, and Ali really highlights it well in his YouTube video, we need to set process goals, not outcome goals. We need daily actions in order to get there. Also, this book explores that we don't wait for perfection. Perfection is a moving target, but progress is always within reach. We need to focus on what we can control. We've been talking a lot about that here on The Mental Game, right? What can we control? Effort, attitude, actions. He also in this book talks about how celebrating our progress, not just the results, which we've talked about today, And also that concept earlier we've been discussing, embracing failures as part of this process. So if motivation is the fire that burns after action, discipline is the coals that stay hot, especially when motivation burns away. So discipline is the mental toughness used to overcome daily obstacles, consistency, and willpower. It evolves the ability to stay on task, manage time, and act accordingly to some sort of a loose plan, regardless of emotions. So discipline is required to build grit. Grit drives us to that far off goal that we may be having, but discipline handles the day-to-day required to get there. Grit gives us that endurance to handle the long-term hardship, but discipline is actually what helps manage the more immediate day-to-day frustrations we all feel. I am really drawn to Stoic philosophy. I don't know if you've dipped your toe into any kind of Stoic philosophy yourself there, Bree. But in Stoicism, it sees discipline as a virtue, so a habitual disposition, a character trait that we can build and that we should give some attention to. Marcus Aurelius once said that what stands in the way becomes the way. So instead of being deterred by setbacks, we go through them. We show up. And so building discipline, we can do this through perception, how we see our current reality, the struggles. Nora spoke about this in her videos. We can control our emotion, focusing on what we can and accepting what we cannot. The other kind of Stoic action here to build discipline, take action. Approach obstacles with persistence, creative thinking, and willingness. Manageable, direct actions is that way through. We also need to cultivate our will. This is that internal power to endure the hardships and use these setbacks. Use those moments when we're like, I can't do one more lift. I don't want to go to work today, to really help that personal growth and build that grit. So in short, kind of this Stoic view on discipline, we see things for what they are, we do what we can, and we endure and bear what we must. Seneca once said, we treat the body rigorously so that it will not be disobedient to the mind. So a key Stoic principle on discipline here is action over emotion. Bree, what are your thoughts on emotion and motivation and pushing for that one more rep?
It's funny because motivation is totally unreliable, just like what you're saying there, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's emotional, it fluctuates. Maybe I'm not motivated to go to the gym today, but if I was disciplined, I would be going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so emotional, little motivation.
Totally. Yeah. So let's talk about what one more rep looks like for you. So as Heather kind of hinted at in the start of our episode here, Heather, have you read Atomic Habits?
I have, and I saw your notes in the script, and I don't think you enjoyed it very much.
So this book by James Clear states, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Yeah.
And while I was reading this book,
Yeah.
I think I made it about halfway through,
Yeah.
I got bored.
Yeah. Maybe because you didn't have a system. Maybe you were
that's
just
exactly
reading
what it
it, but you didn't have a pen and paper beside you, really kind of making it more about the process. What's funny is I read this in the script today, and every Thursday you can sign up for James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, does weekly emails. They are fantastic. Go and sign up on his website. And today's email, his one quote was, "Trust follows consistency. The pattern is the proof."
Okay, yep, signing up as soon as we're done
Yeah,
this.
maybe short blurbs are a little bit better than the longer book for you.
Yes. And if you're reading motivation books like this, right, as Heather said, get out a pad of paper. Maybe I didn't want to read through the rest of this book because I felt like I already understand the concepts behind it.
But were you doing the concepts?
Who knows,
That's
right?
it.
I do know in everyday life that there's things that I want to accomplish. And if I don't write them down, as we said earlier, then they might disappear from my mind and not be on top priority anymore. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. You said 43% of people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I am a list maker. I need to mental dump to a list or everything else for my day, if I know my evening's going to be busy, I'm going to be focused on the evening the whole day.
Yeah.
And all of that I've planned out through the day, all that I planned through the day, I'm not going to be as disciplined or motivated for it. I'm going to be focused on the discipline I have to have in my evening.
That's it.
Right? So, yeah, very interesting to see. So, when we're setting these goals, it's often the motivation that gets you started and your systems that keep you going. So, discipline is remembering what you want long term down the road, not short term, right? If, for example, here we're talking about the summer and wanting to look good on the beach, right?
What did the young folk call it? Hot girl summer?
Hot girl summer, episode 1. If we are, reaching for that, I'm not going to the gym for 2 weeks and eating healthy for 2 weeks, before June or July, right? This is something that I have to be motivated with, stay disciplined with to reach those goals down the road. So long-term versus short-term, super important. So when we think about the things that motivate us and keep us disciplined, it's important to ask yourself, what's the smallest version of this that I can do today, right? Ooh. I don't feel like working out. What's the smallest thing that I could do? Could I pull up a YouTube video of a workout video? So that way I don't have to think about it. It's literally walking me through what I should be doing today. Or, we could pull up the Campus Rec Instagram account. Shout out to DCOT Campus Rec. Go follow us. We have weekly workout videos there. Again, you don't want to use your brain, log on, do that quick video. We mentioned last week, or possibly in episode 1, our Fit Fast 9, right? Super easy circuit in the gym. Come in, do that 3 times, you're done. Full body workout, crushed it, right? Yeah. So keeping those little hits in the back of your head, right? What's the smallest version of this that I can do today?
Love that.
Okay. So, as we said, there's so many resources for you, and moving your body in any way possible is important. Right? If you are maybe throwing on your favorite TV show, take a seat on the ground and do some stretching. Just move your body and let that stress melt away at the end of the day. Okay? So many excuses. Maybe these are patterns that we need to recognize, right? Yeah. Constantly giving yourself an excuse. Okay? So how do we keep ourselves motivated? This is really, really important. Not every day do we have that motivation to keep going, right? Some things we can be doing to help keep that motivation up is reducing friction with the task. Ooh. So anything that you do to reduce friction with your task to prep you for the next day?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like, for instance, just something small like laying out my clothes.
Yes.
What I find often, it's like the mental load of making decisions that will often add to that feeling of being tired. Yep. And so if my clothes are already laid out, that's one less thing. If my lunch is already ready to go, I'm probably not stopping and buying Tim Hortons.
Exactly.
So I try to prepare for my tomorrow, today, and make sure those things are just like ready to grab so that I don't even really have to think. I press start. I just go. I just do.
Exactly what we need to be doing, right? We make thousands of micro decisions throughout the day. If there's one thing we can do to set ourselves off on the right foot in the morning, why aren't we doing it? Yeah. So like Heather said, preparing the night before, whether that's, you're trying to maintain a healthy diet, let's prep that lunch before so we're not going to Tim Hortons at lunchtime because we're hungry and we don't have anything for lunch, right? Or maybe, as you said, with the clothes, we're setting out our clothes the night before. Maybe your goal is to feel more confident at school or work. Then the night before, let's make sure we're picking out an outfit that makes us feel good, right? We want to feel good in our body. Put on an outfit that makes us happy and feel amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Another thing we can be doing is making a list of non-negotiables. So what is our minimum standard, right? We could think about this in another context to kind of give you the direction we're going with our mind here. So let's say you're going on a bunch of dates with someone. You're going to make a minimum standards list, right? This is what I want. This is what I don't want. I want you to do this in your daily life. What are your non-negotiables? Maybe it's meal prepping once a week, going to the gym 3 times in that 7-day week, right? Setting goals like in bed by 9 o'clock. Maybe you're not asleep by 9 o'clock, but at least you're in bed and giving yourself that rest, okay? Make one dedicated day for those tasks you really don't want to do, and it'll help you move towards success and stay disciplined with it. right? You could even plan out your week. When do I have to do groceries? Am I doing my meal prep today? Okay, I should probably get my groceries the day before. So that way I can just jump into meal prep, especially if it's not something that you're dying to do.
Yeah,
right?
I love that idea of like looking at the week. I was meeting with a student, for instance, they had a goal of getting to the gym, the flex a little bit more, but they were trying to wake up 2 hours earlier on a Wednesday when it was like the worst day of their week. They had a lot of classes the day before. So it was like you kind of picked like the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
You picked the worst day to try to do this. And so each week when you were hitting snooze, instead of getting up and going, you were putting that under the failure list. So you weren't feeling that sense of accomplishment and just feeling yourself with this guilt of, well, I'm not meeting my goals, I'm not staying disciplined. So I love that idea of like, look at your week, think about your energy levels. Like, when do things Velcro nicely in our life that can maybe help with that motivation?
Yeah, and it's already hard to find motivation on some days, right? So why are we making our goals so rigid? Help yourself out.
Yeah.
Right? As you said, also planning out our long-term outcomes, right? It's about making those tiny failures along the way so that we were learning and not just looking at the end goal. There's so many steps to get to that end goal.
Yeah.
One thing that you mentioned earlier that we're going to talk about right now is our 2-minute rule, right? I feel like your principles of the Kaizen also kind of tie into this, right?
Yeah.
If the task takes under 2 minutes, let's say replying to a text message that we've, left unread for a couple days now, or maybe we're putting the dishes away. If it takes under 2 minutes, don't schedule it. Just get it done. Get that cleared out of your brain, right? You want to start meditating? Sit and take 5 breaths. You want to read more? Read 1 page. Who knows? That 1 page might be amazing, and now you've read 5 pages, and then you're putting your bookmark back in, right? Minor habits create larger habits. And why this works is because it's preventing mental clutter. Just like we said with our to-do list, brain dump all of that right there.
Yeah.
It helps us build momentum, and it reduces procrastination.
Love that.
Yeah. So with some of these examples here, I'll give you an example of kind of what I do. So I like to do weekly budgets just to kind of keep me on track. I'm sitting down at the table 1 night a week. Doesn't always have to be the same night, but I know once a week, this is my goal. And I'm not pushing it off to the next week, because that doesn't help myself with my goals in the end. So no matter how much you don't want to do it, make sure we're prioritizing it, because you're going to feel that much better when it's done. So
Love that. Yeah.
small things you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
So we did actually do some interviews with some Durham College and Ontario Tech students this week on what motivates them to come to the gym.
What motivates me at the gym is honestly just wanting to better myself for my future self. I understand the importance of being healthy as an older individual, and I want to do that for my future self.
What keeps me motivated to go to the gym is just, being an athlete. I got to make sure that my body is always at 100%. That way I'm not getting injured throughout the season. So just working out every day, being consistent, that's what really keeps me motivated to go to the gym.
Keeps me motivated is hoping that my grade 10 self is happy with who I am today, and using that to push forward.
I work out because I want to be strong and healthy.
My motivation to go to the gym is I want to be the strongest there is.
Motivation for the gym is to take my mind off of stress and with school and work. And my motivation for the gym is that when you work out, you feel good. So I feel like that's really important.
My motivation to go to the gym is being the best version of myself that I can be.
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of good tips by our students of the Flex Fitness Center.
Yeah.
So I feel like some main topics there were feeling good about yourself, right? Bettering yourself. What can I do for me now to better myself down the road? You know, we might be spry, you might be a spry college university student, but down the road, there's all types of things that can happen to your health that you can't rely on the present for. So taking care of yourself for those long-term goals that we're talking about, right? And like even moving like an athlete. you may not be an athlete, but everyone can be an athlete, right? Doing things to make sure that your mobility is good, your strength is good, you're staying consistent. As we get older, mobility and strength are the things that we lose the fastest, right? Sitting down on the toilet might be the hardest challenge of your day someday as you're older, right? So keeping our body consistent and moving in ways that we can move now to maintain that long term down the road.
Absolutely. Keeps us gritty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We love being gritty.
Yeah. One thing that I really liked from that video is like this concept of showing up as you are, right? And you spoke to this earlier, and Nora touched on this, is like listening to what your needs are, not being so rigid in this. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. So showing up just keeps that momentum going.
Yep.
It builds that grit.
Totally. And you don't have to feel ready. You just have to be willing.
I
just
love
have to be willing
that
to do it.
quote. Absolutely. Yeah. And regularly engaging in your life, even in small ways, is more important than acting only when you feel 100% prepared.
Exactly.
So I love this idea. It reminded me, when I saw that in your notes, that quote, of an article that I came across years ago. It was a New York writer, and she does this thing called spaghetti dinner. Ooh. She's in like your stereotypical Manhattan huge apartment, and she started this thing called spaghetti dinner on Friday nights and show up as you are. And the idea was you don't need to bring a side. You don't have to change from work. If you're sick, if you're fighting, just show up. Show up as you are. If our goal is, for them, it was to build community and not feel so alone, show up as you are. If your goal is to build that strength and build that endurance, show up to the gym. Just showing up, that consistency, regularly engaging in life, it makes such a long-term impact.
Yeah, totally.
So whether your goal is to make it to the flex 5 times a week, being the MVP, or acing your midterms, get gritty. You've got this. That's the end of our episode today. You can check us out at DCOTCHWC.
And you can find us on social media at DC-OT Campus Recreation, as well as the Campus Health and Wellness Center Instagram page.
That's the one that I just gave.
Heather gotcha. Never mind.
Ya.
We're just double checking because we want you to like and follow us. Please follow us.
You can also follow the Media Hub here on social media at DCSA Media Hub. We'll see you next time on The Mental Game, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.